Everyone noticed that Aisha was always quiet. She smiled when spoken to, nodded when required, and fulfilled every responsibility expected of her. Yet behind that calm face was a sadness that never really left her eyes. The kind of sadness that doesn't scream for attention, but sits silently, growing heavier with time. She was married to Rohan. Rohan was successful, respected, and always busy. Business meetings, travel, phone calls that never ended. From the outside, they looked like the perfect couple. Inside the house, however, silence lived with them more than conversation ever did. Aisha spent most of her days alone. Her husband provided everything: comfort, security, status, but somehow forgot to provide presence. And that absence slowly broke her. Rohan's closest friend, Arman, noticed it before anyone else did. Arman had known Rohan since college. They had built dreams together, failed together, risen together. He visited their house often, sometimes for dinner, sometimes just to drop something off. At first, Arman thought Aisha was simply introverted. Then he noticed patterns. The untouched food. The way she stared at nothing for long minutes. The forced smiles that disappeared the moment she thought no one was watching. One evening, Rohan left early for a business trip. Arman stayed back a little longer than usual, sitting in the living room, scrolling through his phone. Aisha brought tea, placed it on the table, and turned to leave. "Wait," Arman said gently. She paused. "You okay?" he asked casually, like one would ask about the weather. "Yes," she replied quickly. Too quickly. He nodded, but didn't look convinced. They sat in silence for a moment. The house felt unusually empty. "You know," Arman said slowly, "you don't have to answer this if you don't want to." Aisha looked at him. "But are you really okay?" That question did something to her. No one had asked her that in months. Her hands trembled slightly as she sat down across from him. "I don't know anymore," she whispered. Arman didn't interrupt. "I feel invisible," she continued. "Like I exist only to maintain a life, not to live one." Her voice cracked, and she stopped herself. "I'm sorry. I shouldn't be saying this." "You can," Arman said softly. "I'm listening." That was the moment the wall she had built began to crack. She didn't tell him everything that day. Just enough to breathe a little easier. From that evening onward, something changed. Not dramatically. Not obviously. Just, quietly. Whenever Arman visited, he checked on her, not intrusively, not emotionally loaded, just human concern. Aisha found herself talking more. Smiling genuinely, not out of habit. Their conversations stayed respectful. Books. Life philosophies. Loneliness. Dreams that never got a chance. Arman never crossed a line. But feelings don't ask for permission. They grow in silence. One night, Aisha admitted something she had never said out loud. "I don't think my husband knows me," she said. Arman felt a tightness in his chest. "He knows you," he replied carefully. "He just forgot how to listen." She looked at him. "Why do you listen?" she asked. Arman didn't answer immediately. "Because everyone deserves to be heard," he finally said. But deep down, he knew the truth was more complicated. Days turned into weeks. Rohan remained busy. Aisha felt lighter when Arman was around, and that scared her. Because comfort can turn into attachment. And attachment can turn into something dangerous. One evening, Arman decided to step back. He reduced visits, shortened conversations, maintained distance. Aisha noticed. "You're avoiding me," she said one day. "I'm just busy," he replied. She nodded, but her eyes showed disappointment. That night, Arman couldn't sleep. He was Rohan's friend. She was Rohan's wife. No matter how pure the intentions, the situation was complicated. But life wasn't done testing them. Because what neither of them knew was that Rohan's business trip was about to change everything. And Aisha's sadness was about to reveal a truth far bigger than loneliness. Rohan's business trip, which was supposed to last 3 days, stretched into 2 weeks. Phone calls became shorter. Messages became formal. Eventually, even those slowed down. Aisha stopped checking her phone after a while. Waiting had started to hurt more than the silence itself. The house felt heavier at night. Armin noticed the change immediately. When he visited, Aisha looked more tired than before. Dark circles under her eyes. Slower movements. A quietness that felt deeper than sadness. One evening, as rain hit the windows softly, Armin found her sitting in the living room, lights off, just the lamp near the sofa turned on. "You didn't eat?" he asked. "I forgot," she replied. That worried him. "You shouldn't skip meals," he said, trying to keep his tone light. She looked up at him and smiled faintly. "You sound like someone who cares." The words stayed between them longer than they should have. Armin sat down, keeping distance. "Aisha," he said carefully, "if there's something you're not telling me, you don't have to carry it alone." She took a deep breath. "There is something," she said. "But once I say it, I can't take it back." He didn't answer immediately. "Say it," he said finally. "Only if you want to." She stared at the floor. "My marriage wasn't always like this," she began. "Rohan was different once. Kind. Present." Armin listened. "After his business took off, everything else became secondary. I tried to understand. I adjusted. I stayed quiet." Her voice trembled. "Then one day, I found out something." She stopped. Armin's heart slowed. "What?" he asked gently. She looked at him, eyes wet. "He signed a medical consent form, without telling me." Armin frowned. "For what?" "For me," she said. The silence that followed was sharp. "I collapsed at a charity event last year," Aisha continued. "They said it was exhaustion. But later, I found reports. I have a heart condition. Not life-ending, but serious." Armin felt his chest tighten. "Rohan knew," she said. "He decided not to tell me because he didn't want me to worry." "That's not his decision," Armin said quietly. "I know," she replied. "But that's when I realized something. My life decisions weren't mine anymore." She laughed bitterly. "I became someone to manage, not someone to love." Armin clenched his fists. "And you're telling me this because?" he asked. "Because you asked how I was," she said. "And you actually waited for the answer." That broke something inside him. From that day on, their friendship changed. Not in closeness, but in depth. They talked openly now. About fear. About losing control. About what it means to live instead of just surviving. Armin helped her research doctors. Lifestyle changes. He made sure she ate on time. Took walks. Still, he never crossed a boundary. But emotions don't care about rules. One late evening, after a long conversation, Aisha said softly, "Sometimes I wonder what my life would have been like if I had met you first." The room went still. Armin stood up immediately. "That's not a road we can walk on," he said firmly. She nodded, tears in her eyes. "I know. I just needed to say it out loud." That night, Armin decided he needed distance. For her safety. For his loyalty. For everyone's dignity. But life had one more test waiting. Rohan returned unexpectedly the next morning. And he noticed everything. The healthier food. The medical reports on the table. The change in Aisha. And most importantly, the silence between Armin and Aisha. That silence was about to be questioned. And the truth, once spoken, would change all three of their lives forever. Rohan noticed the silence before anyone said a word. It was not the quiet of an empty house. It was the quiet of things left unsaid. When he returned, luggage still near the door, he sensed it immediately. The way Aisha looked healthier yet distant. The way Armin avoided staying too long. The way conversations ended before they truly began. That night, Rohan couldn't sleep. He walked through the house slowly, as if trying to read the walls. In the study, he found medical files neatly arranged. Reports he recognized. His signature stared back at him from the consent form. Guilt pressed on his chest. He had convinced himself he was protecting her. He had told himself that worry would weaken her heart. He had chosen control over honesty, believing love meant deciding for someone else. He realized now how wrong he had been. The next morning, Rohan asked Aisha to sit with him. "We need to talk," he said. She sat across from him, calm but guarded. "I know you found out," he continued. "About your condition." She nodded. "I've known for a while." He swallowed. "I should have told you." "Yes," she replied. "You should have." Silence followed. "I thought I was doing the right thing," Rohan said. "I thought being strong meant handling everything." Aisha looked at him steadily. "Being strong would have been trusting me." That truth landed heavily. "I failed you," he admitted. "And I don't know how to fix it." Aisha took a breath. "I don't need fixing. I need partnership." He nodded slowly, eyes wet. "Then tell me what you need." She didn't answer immediately. "I need honesty," she said. "And I need space to decide who I am again." Rohan agreed. Later that day, Rohan called Armin. They met at a quiet cafe, away from familiar walls. "I owe you an apology," Rohan said first. "For putting you in an impossible position." Armin looked surprised. "I never crossed a line." "I know," Rohan replied. "That's why this is hard. You did what I didn't. You listened." Armin lowered his gaze. "I tried to keep distance. And I noticed," Rohan said. "Thank you." They sat quietly. "I need you to leave," Rohan said finally. "Not because you did anything wrong. But because Aisha and I need clarity without confusion." Armin nodded. "I was already planning to." They shook hands, two men choosing dignity over ego. That evening, Armin packed quietly. Aisha stood at the door, holding back tears. "You don't have to disappear," she said softly. "I do," he replied. "For now. So you can heal without questions." She nodded, tears slipping free. "Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for trusting me," he said. He left without drama. Weeks passed. Rohan made changes. Real ones. Fewer trips. Honest conversations. Doctors' visits together. He learned to listen without interrupting, to stay without controlling. Aisha began to feel something she hadn't felt in years. Agency. She started painting again, walking in the mornings, making choices about her own health. The sadness in her eyes softened, replaced by something steadier. One evening, she said, "I don't know what our future looks like." Rohan replied, "Neither do I. But I want to build it with you, if you'll let me." She didn't answer right away. Time did what pressure couldn't. Months later, Aisha invited Armin for tea. Rohan was present. There was no tension, only respect. "I'm grateful to you," Aisha said, "for reminding me I deserve to be heard." Armin smiled gently. "You always did." Rohan added, "And I'm grateful you didn't take advantage of my mistakes." Armin nodded. Some lines are not meant to be crossed. They parted peacefully. Life moved forward. Aisha's health stabilized. Her marriage transformed, not into perfection, but into partnership. Rohan learned that love isn't protection through silence, but strength through truth. As for Armin, he left the city. Started fresh. Carried with him a lesson he would never forget, that sometimes the bravest love is the one that steps back. Years later, at a quiet charity event, Aisha spoke on stage about women's agency in health decisions. Rohan sat in the front row, listening. Their hands met, not because of obligation, but because they chose each other again, honestly. Some stories are not about winning someone. They are about doing what is right, even when it hurts. And sometimes, that choice changes lives more than love ever could.